So we'll talk about the employee's right to self-organization. Of course, ito yung references natin, ha? Ayan. At ito yung kalulaunch lang nung Sunday, kaya tayo nagkita-kita, no? And then you can also refer to these other books, ayan, for different subjects. And you can also go to that YouTube channel. At doon sa mga subscribers na, shout out sa inyo. Ganun ba tawag doon? And then, you can also join this group. Just make sure that you answer the question so that you'll be admitted. Para sigurado tayo na hindi mga trolls ang nag-join. Ano? Then, you can also join this. Pero wala tayong love offering, don't worry. So, probably I already discussed with you na yung May 1 was declared Labor Day in commemoration with what happened on May 1, 1903, when a group, konti lang sila, 100,000 daw. Hindi ko alam paano nila binilang. Led by Isabelo de los Reyes, yung kanyang Union Obrero Democratica Pilipina or Union of Democratic Filipino Workers. Nagmarcha kasama itong si Dominador Gomez, May 1, 1903. Mula doon sa Moriones Tondo going to Malacanang, demanding from the American government, which at the time led by William Howard Taft, that the government respects and recognizes the rights of workers. Kasi, of course, you know the history, di ba? During the Spanish period, wala namang rights ang mga Pilipino, including the workers. Forced labor pa nga ang karamihan. Okay? Now, under the labor code, you have the right to self-organize. That means you have the right to join or not to join a union. The right to join includes the right not to join. Okay, that's why those who do not want to join, for whatever reason, we cannot force them. Pag ayaw, huwag pipilitin. Masasaktan lang yan. Okay? And also, that's a constitutional right under Article 3, Section 8 of the 1987 Constitution. That's why even those in the government are allowed to join a union. However, there is one limitation in joining a union. You cannot form a union or organization whose purpose is contrary to law. Because we are a government of laws and not of men. Sabi ng isa, we are a government of lawyers and not of men. O delikado yun. Now, this constitutional provision was implemented in the government sector by Executive Order 180 in 1987, which provided for the guidelines for the right of the employees in the government to unionize, creating, as a consequence, a public sector labor management council. Ito yung under the Civil Service Commission, of course, no? Ito yung counterpart ng Bureau of Labor Relations sa private sector. The constitutionality of Executive Order 180 was challenged, and the Supreme Court said it was constitutional. And that Executive Order 180 was the reason why government employees covered by the Civil Service Law are prohibited from conducting a strike. Okay? Yan ang dahilan. No? Pinagbabawal ang strike because the right to unionize does not carry with it the right to strike. The right to unionize is a constitutional right, but the right to strike is a mere statutory right. It may be found in the Constitution, yet it is qualified by the phrase, Article 13, Section 3, di ba? Including the right to strike in accordance with law. That's why in the government sector, there is no law providing for that right. In fact, Executive Order 180 prohibits you from conducting a strike. Why? Strike means temporary stoppage of work caused by the workers due to a labor dispute. Government service should not stop. Di ba? Ayan. So, that's the reason why government employees, when they conduct a strike, they can be dismissed. That's a ground for dismissal. Okay? That's the reason also why in government, we do not talk about legal or illegal strike. All strikes in the government, those covered by the Civil Service Law, are illegal. Whereas in the private sector, that's the time we talk about legal or illegal strike. Legal strike happens when the union the striking union complies with the requisites of a valid strike under Article 278 of the Labor Code. If there's no compliance or one of the requirements was not complied with, then the strike becomes illegal. And of course, you know the consequences of an illegal strike. We'll talk about that much later. Okay? The government employees are allowed to unionize. However, under Executive Order 180, there are certain types of government employees who are not even allowed to unionize. Okay, ito yung mga high-level government employees under Section 3 of Executive Order 180. Okay? Why? Well, you know, the nature of their appointment. They're working, serving at the pleasure of the President. Diba? Tapos mag-unionize ka. So ito yung mga cabinet members, mga high-ranking officials in the government. Of course, ang appointment, ang sabi ng Korte Suprema, we studied this last time, yung Luego versus Civil Service Commission, that is a prerogative of the President. Discretion niya yung kung sino i-appoint. Of course, there are certain qualifications. May mga opisyal na dadaan doon sa Commission on Appointments for confirmation. And there are officials also that are recommended by the Judicial and Bar Council. Yet, the nature of their appointment is discretionary on the President. Kaya sabihin nyo, ang Presidente, ang ina-appoint niya lang yung mga kaibigan niya, mga kakampi niya, natural. Ikaw man na maging Presidente, mag-a-appoint ka ba ng kaaway mo? Diba? Yan ang sasabi ng Korte Suprema. Okay? Members of the Armed Forces, the Philippine National Police, Firemen, and Jail Guards. Iba nagagalit pagka sinabing jail guard. Yung nakalagay sa batas, ang tawag kasi dyan, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. Tapos yung Bureau of Fire Protection. They're not allowed to unionize. Why? Because of the nature of their function. Okay? Employees of international organizations are not also allowed to unionize. Because as a general rule, international organizations like the diplomatic missions, although itong mga international organization, hindi naman mga diplomats yan, di ba? But as a general rule, they enjoy immunity from suit in the host country's courts. However, according to Westphal versus Locsin, in 2023, that immunity is called functional immunity. The immunity extends only for acts that are related to their official functions. If the act is not related in any manner to its official function, then it cannot invoke immunity. That's by necessary application of Article 31 of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, even if they're strictly not considered diplomats. So nasaan yung immunity nila? Based on the treaty. So pag hindi work-related at kinasuhan sila, they cannot invoke immunity from suit. But just the same, their employees cannot be allowed to unionize. Okay? Now, managerial employees under Article 255, the old Article 245 before the renumbering, they're not allowed to unionize also. Right? Whereas supervisory employees are not allowed to join the union of the rank and file, but they can create their own unions. Okay? So, that's why in a given company, you can almost identify two bargaining units, di ba? Yung supervisors at saka yung mga rank and file employees. And they can be represented by a union, whereas the managers are not allowed. So kaya po, eto, sabi nung Cainta Catholic School versus Cainta Catholic School Employees Association or Union, Cainta Catholic College na yata ngayon yan, yung Dean of Student Affairs daw involves exercise of managerial function. In other words, managerial employee siya. So hindi siya pwedeng sumali sa union ng mga teachers. Okay? So, yun ang problema. Ayan yata ang pinakamagandang posisyon sa school. Kasi legal daw yung affairs with the student. Ako, delikado. May Safe Spaces Act tayo. Marami ng politiko. Ano mo problema dyan, ha? Kaya lang, dahil Pilipino, pag dapat hindi magpahuli, di ba? Nahuli, umamin. Dapat wag na wag aamin. Napaamin siya. Ayun, ang ginawa, yung pang 13 utos, nagdamay ng iba para hindi siya nag-isa. Yun yung 13 commandments sa Pilipinas. Ang alam kong alam nyo yan. Now, confidential employees are not also allowed to unionize. They may not be managerial. They are rank and file employees, yet they perform functions that are vested with trust and confidence. Like, for example, the secretary of the president of the company. Hindi naman managerial, rank and file. But because he or she knows some confidential information pertaining to the company, he may not be allowed to join the union. At ito ang tinatawag ng Korte Suprema in another ruling na fiduciary rank and file employees based on trust and confidence. And of course, they can be dismissed based on breach of trust and confidence. In 2010 bar exam, it was asked, pwede ba na yung empleyado na may share sa cooperative funds ay sumali sa union? Ang sagot po dito ay 1989 pa, hindi. Because he or she is part owner of the cooperative. Dahil may share siya eh. But ordinary employees of the cooperative are allowed to unionize. They're allowed to join the union because they're not part. They're not owners of the cooperative. Kasi pag may share ka sa cooperative, parang sa korporasyon, di ba? Na meron kang shares of stocks, so stockholder ka, therefore, part owner ka. Dito, kung ikaw naman ay miyembro ng kooperatiba, at empleyado ka rin ng kooperatiba at the same time, then you may not be allowed to join the union. You cannot bargain with yourself. That's the reason. Okay? What about yung mga Jaguar? Hindi, Guardia. Babalik na kasi si Yorme. Kaya uso na naman yung mga Jaguar. Okay. Security guards are allowed to unionize provided their union activity is directed against their direct employer. We have studied under Article 107 of the Labor Code na yung establishment where the security guard is assigned is just an indirect employer under Article 107 of the Labor Code. So, kanino makikipag-bargain itong mga security guards? Doon sa security agency. That's the direct employer, not the principal. Okay? Maliwanag tayo dyan. But they're allowed to unionize. Now, what about government employees? As already mentioned, they can join the union except those mentioned in sections 3 and 4 of Executive Order 180 as affirmed in Arizala versus Court of Appeals. However, government employees may be allowed to unionize, yet they cannot stage a strike. Because government service should not stop. Diba? And according to the court, the right to unionize does not carry with it the right to strike. The right to unionize is a constitutional right, and the right to strike is a mere statutory right. Therefore, they cannot strike. Sabi ng abogado nitong mga teachers, kasi yung mga teachers 1990, nag-walk out sa classrooms nila at nagmarcha papunta dun sa DEX. DEX pa noon Department of Error, Corruption, and Scandal. Sorry. Education, Culture, and Sports. Sorry ho. Na ngayon ay DepEd na. So, iniwanan yung mga classroom, dinatuwa yung mga estudyante. Walang teacher. Ang sabi ng kanilang mga abogado, that was a part of the right to public assembly under Article 3, Section 4 of the Constitution. But the court did not agree. How do you define a strike under the Labor Code? The temporary stoppage of work caused by the workers due to a labor dispute. Diba? So they stop their work. They walk out from their classroom. That's their place of work. Tama, mayroong public assembly, pero it could be treated as picketing. Diba? Nagmarcha sila ano ba kasi ang problema nito mga teachers na ito at the time? Late yung sweldo at cheque pa. Ang sweldo, mga 2-3 months late. Naging ATM lang yan nung panahon ni Secretary Raul Roco noong 2001. Kaya lang hirap naman pagka ATM kasi automatic tumisis, kaya delikado tayo dyan. Okay? So, puntahan natin yung bargaining unit. Ito yung mga nakakagulo sa buhay natin sa labor law. Yung mga terminolohiya. Collective bargaining unit, collective bargaining agent, collective bargaining agreement. So puntahan natin yung bargaining unit. A bargaining unit is a group of employees sought to be represented by a union. Well, in layman's term, ang bargaining unit ay department. Diba? As mentioned earlier, meron kang supervisor o bargaining unit yon. Meron kang rank and file. Yung mga rank and file, pwede pang hatiin yan based on their interest, based on their nature of work. Diba? Kaya sa eskwelahan, kami mga teachers, one bargaining unit. Yung mga office personnel, another bargaining unit yan. But can they be joined together in just one bargaining unit? Pwede naman. Kaya itinanong ito noong 2007 bar exam, but you cannot expect the same kind of questions in the bar exams this year and next year until 2027. Yan ang pangako ng mga chairman. Ano? Na puro case problem. Entry level daw. Okay. So what do you mean by Globe Doctrine? Hindi ho ito yung kalaban ng Smart at Sun na palagi namang mabagal ang serbisyo, mabilis lang maningil. Ano? Ito lang sa amin, walang signal ang Globe. So galing yan sa isang American case, 1937, tama, 1937 nakalagay dyan, no? Na if the employees, although belonging to different departments or bargaining units, they can be joined together to form just one bargaining unit. Katulad nung, di ba, recently yung union ng faculty and employees ng UST nag-file ng notice of strike. Oh. Anong tawag sa kanila? UST Faculty and Employees Union. Bakit nagsama yung faculty at employees? Gusto nila Trip nila yon, walang basagan ng trip. On the other hand, yung pangalawa ay yung community of interest rule or mutuality of interest rule. Employees who have the same interest should be grouped together. Katulad ng mga supervisors, ibang interest niyan Taga-sumbong yan kay employer. Diba? Kaya sa isang factory, yung mga supervisors ang pinakamasamang tao. Bakit? Sila yung nagsusumbong sa manager. Yung manager, nandun lang sa office niya bakit nakakarating sa kanya? Sinusumbong ng supervisor. At syempre, yung mga rank and file. So, hindi sila pwedeng magsama. As already provided under Article 255. Diba? Na hindi pwedeng sumali yung supervisor dun sa union ng rank and file. Bawal yun. Okay? At syempre, ito yung mga test in determining who are the employees in the bargaining unit. Appropriate bargaining unit pa. Pwede nyo namang itanggalin na lang yung appropriate kasi lahat naman yan appropriate. Pag hindi appropriate, hindi ka pwede mag-bargain. Okay? Ano yung pangatlo? Ito yung prior collective bargaining history. Sa loob ng mahigit 50 taon, magkasama yung teacher at yung employee sa isang bargaining unit, bakit natin paghihiwalayin? Diba? O kung hindi naman sila magkasama, bakit natin pagsasamahin? At yung employment status. Kasi may mga unions na nasa collective bargaining agreement nila ito na hindi pumapayag na ang temporary or probationary or even casual employees ay sumali sa union nila. Hindi naman natin pwedeng pilitin kung yung nakalagay sa kanilang collective bargaining agreement. Depende dun sa kanilang union security clause. Di ba? Ayan. Okay, so ideally, dapat ang isang union daw o isang company, isa lang ang union. But normally, hindi naman nangyayari yan. Kasi everyone has the right to unionize. For example, nag-election sa isang union. Isa lang yung union. I think, kwento ko na sa inyo ito, isang union lang siya originally. Union X. Nag-election ng officers. Siyempre, may mga officers siya, mag-i-elect yan. So, ang nanalong presidente si A. Ang natalo ay si B. Actually, hindi siya natalo. Siya ay dinaya. So, i-challenge yan. I-a-appeal niya yan. Ang problema, umabot sa Korte Suprema, sabi ng Korte Suprema, talo ka talaga. Hindi siya papayag. Magtatayo siya ng panibagong union. Pwede ba yon? Pag na-comply niya yung mga requirements para magtayo ng union, then, ayos na ang buhay niya. Magkakapagtayo na siya ng union. Di ba? Yun. So, dalawa na ang union ngayon. Pwede bang pagbawalan yan? Hindi. Magiging unfair labor practice yan. Di ba? Okay. So ito yung tanong. Ano daw yung mga kategorya ng empleyado noong 2017? At paano sila naiiba sa isa't isa? Unahin natin yung mga managerial employees. Ha? Sabi ng Article 255, managerial employees are not eligible to join, assist, or form any labor organization. As in, bawal sila mag-unionize. Yung supervisor, sabi natin kanina, pwede. But they should not be joining the union of the rank and file. Eh, ang tanong, sino ba ang manager? Of course, you have the definition under Article 219M. Ba? Meron siyang kapangyarihan to hire, to transfer, suspend. In other words, the power to lay down and execute management policies. Yes, the power to hire and to fire employees. Kaya lang, in firing an employee, may limitasyon yan. Ha? Hindi siya pwede mag-fire ng employee in March every year. Alam niyo na kung bakit. That's the Fire Prevention Month. Ano? Okay. Ang sabi naman ng Client Logic versus Castro, ay manager siya kasi nagmamanage siya. Natural. At may number of employees. Ha? Dapat daw dalawa o mahigit pa ang minamanage niya. O paano pag isa lang? Ay baka hindi siya manager, baka jer lang, walang money. Ano? What about the supervisors? The supervisors cannot lay down management policies, but they can recommend the formulation of policies. They have no power to hire and to fire employees, but they can recommend the hiring and firing of employees. O kaya ang supervisor, ang pinakamasamang tao, bakit siya nagre-recommend? Okay, ha? Now, what if the supervisor insisted on joining the union of the rank and file? That is not allowed under Article 256 of the Labor Code. What is the effect? That is not a ground for cancellation of union registration as we have already discussed. But that is a reason why the employee will be removed from the list. Hindi siya kasali. Anong epekto sa kanya? If ever magkaroon ng collective bargaining agreement, there are provisions there are benefits. That supervisor who insisted in joining that union of the rank and file will be deemed removed. He will not enjoy the benefits. But that is not a ground for cancellation of your union registration. Okay? Why? As provided in that case of Air Philippines versus BLR, that's not a ground for cancellation because the grounds for cancellation are already in place and exclusively listed in Article 247. So wala doon itong ground na ito. And that list is exclusive. So what the law does not include, it excludes. Okay? We proceed to representation. Ano ba itong representation na ito? Tahan natin yan. Na representation issue in organized establishment. Pag sinabi natin organized, of course, by now, you know it. There is a union operating. They may or may not have CBA yet. Pero normally, may CBA na yan. So, we would challenge, another union wanted to challenge the existing union o yung bargaining representative. So, it was asked long time ago, 2006, the modes of determining an exclusive bargaining representative are, so yan, sinabi, tatlo. Voluntary recognition, certification election, consent election. The same question was asked 11 years after 2017. So, almost the same, hindi ba? Kaya, it would be to your advantage if you would be reading and answering as a practice previous bar exam questions. Kasi that's one way of practicing. Remember, pag naging lawyer kayo, will be entering the practice of law. Wala namang perfect of law, di ba? So, practice of law lang yan. Okay? So, sagutin natin, ano ba ang certification election? Certification election is a process of selecting a union who would represent the employees in the bargaining unit. Okay? So let's say mga teachers, dalawa yung union na nag-ooperate dito, sino doon ang gusto natin? So we can do that by filing a petition for certification election. Now, kailan tayo pwedeng mag-file ng petition for certification election? Kung walang collective bargaining agreement na existing, at any time we can file a petition for certification election. Huwag yung tatawag certification of election, ha? Certification election, because the winner will be the certified exclusive bargaining agent. SEBA with a C. Kasi may bago yung SEBA with an S. Iba naman yung SEBO, ha? Medyo matindi yan. So, tinanong nung 2009 bar exam, ito, may mga numbers, ano? Oh, ayan. So, may spoiled votes pa. Oh. 400 yung regular rank and file employees. That question may be asked again. O, paano? Sino mananalo dyan? Ay, ba, tingnan natin, ha? O, yan. So, mahaba yung tanong. Pagka ganyan mahaba ang tanong, you go to the questions first. At read the question before you read the facts. Kasi pag binasa nyo yung facts, sasagutin nyo yung tanong, nakalimutan nyo na yun eh. Babalik na naman kayo. So that will be a waste of time. You're under time pressure. So basahin nyo muna yung tanong bago nyo puntahan yung facts para at least alam mo na kung ano hinahanap mo. Mas madaling hanapin kung alam mo na hinahanap mo, di ba? Yan yung di natatagpuan. Baka hindi nyo pa alam kung ano hinahanap nyo. Ano? At baka mahulog kayo sa maling tao. Nako, ano ba sinasabi natin dyan? Ibaling nang mahulog ka sa kanal, wag lang sa isang taong hindi naman ikaw ang tunay na mahal. Abay, masakit yan. Okay? So, paano ba ang certification election? Magpa-file ho kayo ng petition. Saan? Sa regional office ng Department of Labor. Ano? Meron diyang opisina na ang tawag ay Labor Relations Division. Doon kayo mag-file. So, ano yung mga itatanong sa inyo pagka nag-file kayo? Number 1, ito ba ay organized? Pag sinabing hindi, so pagbibigyan yung inyong petition. Pangalawa, kung ito ay organized, ang susunod na tanong, teka muna, ang naunang tanong pala, ikaw ba ay legitimate labor organization? Kasi kung hindi ka naman legitimate, meaning wala kang certificate of registration o wala kang certificate as a chartered local or local chapter, wala kang legal personality. So pag may legal personality, ang susunod na tanong, kayo ba ay organized? Kasi pag organized, there's another question to be asked. Ano yon? Meron ba itong collective bargaining agreement? Kasi pag wala, anytime pwedeng pagbigyan yung petition nyo. Ngayon, kung ito ay may collective bargaining agreement, next question, did you register your collective bargaining agreement? Kasi pag nakarehistro yung collective bargaining agreement nyo, you can operationalize Article 238, ano yun? Yung contract bar rule. The contract bar rule dictates that no petition for certification election can be filed for 5 years except during the freedom period. Okay? So ngayon, nakarehistro pala yung CBA. Next question. Did you file your petition during the freedom period? The 60 days before the end of the 5 years? If the answer is no, then it will be denied. If the answer is yes, there will be a next question. Nandun sa Article 268. Is your petition supported by at least 25% of the members of the bargaining unit? Kung 100 yung empleyado natin sa bargaining unit, at least 25 should support your petition para mabigyan ito ng due course. Okay? Pagka pinagbigyan yung petition ninyo, the regional office will be assigning an election officer. Normally, ang tawag sa kanya ay med-arbiter. Mediator arbiter who would act as the election officer. The election officer, upon finding merit on your petition, would call for a pre-election conference. Tatawagin yung iba't ibang mga leaders ng union at i-orient paano bang eleksyon, anong gagawin natin, sinong pwedeng bumoto, anong oras ang botohan. Para siyang COMELEC, Ngayon, in order to win in a certification election, you need to acquire the double majority vote. Double majority rule. Saan manggagaling yung unang majority? In our example, we have 100 employees in the bargaining unit. The first majority should come from the entirety of the population or the members of the bargaining unit. Kung 100 yan, at least 50% plus 1 should vote. Okay? The simple majority. So kung 100, eh di 51. Now, hindi bumoto ang 51 employees. 50% plus 1, hindi bumoto. Assuming 50% lang ang bumoto, there will be a declaration of failure of election. Okay? Now, if there's failure of election, what will happen? Anyone can file another petition for certification election within 6 months from such declaration. Sino nagdideklara ng failure of election? Natural, yung election officer. So, sino pwedeng mag-file when there is a declaration of failure of election? Anyone. Even the employer can file under Article 270. Diba? Okay. So, saan manggagaling yung second majority? So, let's say bumoto yung 51. So, nagkaroon tayo ng successful election. The winner would be the one who got the majority vote. So, kung 51 yung bumoto, what's the majority of 51? That's 26. So, any choice who would get 26 would win. Take a look at your screen, for example, 100 employees, at least 51 voted, that constitutes 50% plus 1. Yung kanina, di ba, sa example na sa exam noong 2009, ay 400 employees. So that would be 200 plus 1. That's the simple majority. Pag 200 lang ang bumoto, failure of election yan. Okay? So assuming bumoto yung 50% plus 1, that's the simple majority. Yan ang list, no? Less than that, hindi na pwede. Failure of election na. So let us distribute the votes. 15, 9, 7. There are 3 unions. Kulang pa yan. There should be no union. Why? The right to join includes the right not to join. O, di ka pwedeng pilitin pag ayaw mo. Di ba? Pag ayaw, wag ipilit. Masasaktan ka lang. Okay? So, with these results, is there a winner? The answer is no. There's no winner. Why not? Nobody got the second majority. The second majority, supposedly, 26. Nobody got 26. Okay? So, walang nanalo. Ngayon, itinanong noong 2006 bar exam, can a no union win in a certification election? And the answer is yes. If the no union as a choice would get the majority of all the votes, meaning in our example, 26, then there will be no union. Masaya si employer, walang makikipag-bargain. O, di ba? Kasi no union. Eh, paano daw kung no union ang pangalan ng union nila? Ay, deceptive yan. Di ba? So, again, in 2006, sorry. Ito yung tanong, when does a runoff election occur? Runoff election occurs when there is a consent or certification election. Kailan yung consent election? In consent election, you do not file a petition anymore. The leaders of the union would agree, mag-election tayo, pero igagalang natin yung resulta. So, consent election yan. In a certification election, you need to file a petition. Normally, it's a certification election kasi nga, ay kung sinasabi, may mga trust issues sa mga Pilipino lawyers or not, may trust issues ay magtiwala sa kapwa. Kasi naman, maraming scammer, di ba? Na ang naloloko yung mga mahiling magtiwala. Ano? Kasi wala nang tapat ngayon, tanghali na lang. Okay, tanghaling tapat. Ayan. Okay? So, runoff election occurs if there are at least 3 choices. Kasi kung dalawa lang ang unions mo, may pangatlong choice ka. Ano yon? No union. No union is always a choice in a certification or consent election. But in a runoff election, no union is no longer a choice. Okay? So, sino ang magra-run of election? The 2 unions who got the highest number of votes. Okay? Provided na yung total number of votes para sa lahat ng union would constitute at least 50% of the total number of votes. So in our example, nobody won. Therefore, we would go to runoff election. Who would be the participant union? It would be union A and B. Paano si no union? 20 votes siya. That's not majority. Kaya, no union is no longer a choice. Why? Because if the majority of the employees wanted to have no union, then the no union as a choice would have gotten the majority vote. Since majority gusto ng union, no union is disqualified na sa runoff election because the employees, the majority would like to be represented by the union, yet they could just not make up their mind which union they wanted to represent them. Kaya sa runoff election, dalawa na lang para makakuha tayo ng majority. Okay? So, pwede bang bumoto yung hindi bumoto initially doon sa certification election or consent election? Yes, they can. Kasi ang target natin, makuha natin yung majority. Okay? At yung mananalo, yung nakakuha ng ikalawang majority. Kaya nga, double majority rule. In Department Order number 40-1-15, in the year 2015, matagal-tagal na rin, inintroduce ng Labor Department yung rerun election. Ano ba yung rerun? Under Section 16 of that department order, when a certification, consent, or runoff election results in a tie, and if you break the tie, somebody will win. So ang gagawin ng election officer, i-announce niya within 5 days, magpo-post siya doon sa factory that there was a tie voting within 5 days. At mag-schedule siya within 10 days ng rerun election. Okay? So yan, bagong introduce na, bago, 10 years na rin yan. Maliwanag. Now, sino ang mga pwedeng bumoto? Abay, lahat ng empleyado. Basta part siya ng bargaining unit. Even the employees who were initially dismissed and they were still challenging the legality of their dismissal. So naki-arbiter pa ang kaso. Pwede pa silang bumoto. Pero sabi ko nga, good luck na lang kung papasukin ka pa ng gwardiya. Diba? Tinanggal ka na, wala ka ng ID. Oh. If it is a rank and file union, and then all the rank and file employees can vote, even probationary employees. Why? Under Article 292, Paragraph C, even on probation, even on the first day the employee reported for work, he can be considered regular employee for purposes of joining the union. O di pwede siyang bumoto. Kaya lang sa tunay na buhay, unang araw mo sa trabaho, sumali ka kaagad sa union, huwag ka nang mag-expect na mareregular ka pa. Ganun ang tunay na buhay. Yan yung mga bagay yata na hindi kayang ipaliwanag ng siyensya. Lahat ng rank and file pwede. At syempre, supervisor hindi pwedeng bumoto. Okay? Ngayon, nagpasa na natin itong mga to. Yan. Ito yung by the way, if you want to challenge the vote, you can invoke Rule 9 ng Department Order 40-03. Pagka challenge yung, kasi secret balloting yan. If you want to challenge the ballot, ang gagawin nitong election officer, ilalagay sa envelope yung mga challenge votes or ballots. So separate yan. Hindi niya bibilangin. Isisil niya yung envelope. Now, if the number of challenge votes or ballots would affect the result of the election, then magro-rule ngayon itong election officer kung bibilangin niya o hindi. Pag binilang niya, and then, kung pwede na maisali doon sa bilangan, siyempre, kasali doon. Sa pagbilang, may mananalo. Ngayon, kung talagang challenge ito at hindi mag-a-agree, kung sino man, pwede naman silang umapila. They can file an appeal, i-appealan nila yung resulta ng election at yung mga ginawa ng election officer, kanino? The Secretary of Labor. We'll talk about that later on. Okay? So, consent election, as I said, you do not need to file a petition. Nagkasundo na kayo eh. But according to the court, you have to respect the result of a consent election. Kayo nagkasundo dyan. Diba? Consistent yung ruling na yan. O, ngayon, puntahan natin yung petitions in unorganized establishment. O, nakikita nyo, disorganized yan. Unorganized, meaning there's no union operating yet, and then nagparehistro tayo ng union. Tapos, may isa pang union na nakarehistro din, gustong i-challenge, o edi mag-file kayo ng petition for certification election para malaman kung sino magre-represent. Now, if there is only one union operating, so walang iba pang union, mag-isa lang siya. Noong unang panahon, ang ginagawa, voluntary recognition. The employer will recognize the existing union dahil nag-iisa lang naman, at isa-submit nila yung fact of voluntary recognition sa regional office. And then they will start with the bargaining. But for several years, magmula pa 2003 yan, Department Order 40-03, February 2003, bihira namang employer ang nagre-recognize ng union. So kaya, dahil hindi nga nire-recognize, ang ginawa ng Department of Labor, binago yung rules. You now have Section 1 of Department Order number 40-1-15, Rule 7. Na kapag ka ikaw ay legitimate labor organization, meaning meron ka ng certificate of registration issued by the regional office, or meron kang charter certificate from the federation, so you have your legal personality, you can go to the regional office and ask the regional office to issue a certification to you. Anong certification? SEBA, Sole and Exclusive Bargaining Agent. So kaya lalong nagkalituhan ng mga tao. May mga narinig ako ba nagtuturo na hindi dinidistinguish yung SEBA with a C dun sa SEBA with an S. Kasi nung unang panahon, pareho lang yun. Kasi may voluntary recognition, ngayon magkaiba na yan. Yung SEBA with a C, resulta ito ng certification election. Kaya yung nanalo, Certified Exclusive Bargaining Agent. Yung iba baka hindi pa updated. 10 taon na itong department order na ito eh. So yung SEBA with an S, ito mag-isa lang siyang union na nag-ooperate dun sa industry. Wala siyang kalaban. So para magkaroon siya ng basehan para makipag-bargain kay employer, proof na siya ang representative, hindi legal personality, may legal personality na siya eh. Just to prove na siya ang lawful representative ng bargaining unit, pupunta siya kay director sa regional office at hihingi siya ng SEBA certification as the sole and exclusive bargaining agent. Kaya SEBA. Iba yung SEBO. Bakit SEBA? Sole nga, mag-isa lang. Isa lang naman kaluluwa ng tao, di ba? Kung nakita nyo na yan. Pero ako hindi ko pa nakita. So SEBA certification. Dala-dala niya yung SEBA certification, boss, mag-bargain na tayo. Anong pruweba mo na ikaw ang pinili ng mga manggagawa? Ito, may certification ako galing sa regional office. Hindi ito certificate of registration, huwag kayo malilito dyan. It's a certificate that the union is the sole and exclusive bargaining agent. That's a new rule, amending Department Order 40-03. Yan, naintindihan naman natin ibang lecturer, baka hindi pa ito nababasa, SEBA pa rin sila, pareho lang, hindi nila pinag-iiba. But there's a distinction. Okay? So assuming nagkaroon na successful election, ay di makikipag-bargain na yung panalo. Siya na ngayon yung SEBA with a C. O kaya wala namang ibang union, in-issuehan siya ng regional office ng SEBA certification, mag-bargaining na kayo. From the conduct of a successful certification, consent, run-off, or rerun election, within 1 year, nobody but you, nobody can file another petition for certification election within 1 year. We call that the 1-year bar rule or election year bar rule. So anong gagawin doon sa 1 year? Magne-negotiate sila. Okay? Para magkaroon ng collective bargaining agreement. Ganun kasimple. Kaya lang, alam naman natin na sa negotiation, doon hindi nagkakasundo. Kasi ang mindset ng union ay manghingi ng mas mataas. Ay totoo naman, nakikipag-bargain ka to get something higher than the minimum. Because if you bargain with the employer and you're just asking for the minimum, stop it. You're just wasting your time. Even if there's no bargaining, the employer is mandated by law to give the minimum. The reason why the union is bargaining with the employer to get something higher than the minimum, but not so high. Baka makasuhan ka ng blue sky bargaining. Di ba? Eh si employer naman ang mindset, mag-offer ng napakaliit. So talaga di magkakasundo. So sa negotiation nila, nagkaroon ng deadlock. Oh, by the way, habang nagne-negotiate, kahit na tapos na yung 1 year, pero ongoing pa rin ang negotiation, wala pa rin pwedeng mag-file ng petition for certification election. Okay? Oh. Ngayon, habang nagne-negotiate, nagkaroon ng deadlock. Stalemate. Walang gustong bumigay. Hindi katulad ni Morissette na gusto ko nang bumigay. Hindi pala, gusto ko nang bumitaw. Iba pala yun. Mahirap yung bumibigay. Deadlock. O nag-deadlock na kayo, pwede na bang mag-file? Hindi pa. May deadlock bar rule Sabi ng Korte Suprema. Bakit? Makakagulo ka lang syempre, pag nag-deadlock, anong solusyon? Di mag-voluntary arbitration yan. The voluntary arbitrator should resolve that by issuing an arbitral award. When an arbitral award is issued, chances are somebody may not agree. So, ia-apila ito. Pwede na bang mag-file ng petition for certification election? Hindi pa rin. Kasi may appeal bar rule. Ang dami namang bar rule nito. Oo, para bigyan natin ng too much leeway para magkasundo. Kasi yan ang pinili yung union Kaya mag-ingat sa pagpili. Di ba? Ngayon, itong si employer, maraming union nag-ooperate. Lahat ng unions gusto siyang kausapin. Sabi ni employer, sino ba talaga kakausapin ko sa inyo? Sabi ni Union X, boss, ako. Sabi ni Union Y, ako. Sino pipili mo, si X o si Y? Abay, delikado. Si employer na mismo mag-file. And that will not constitute unfair labor practice. Kasi hindi niya alam kung sino kakausapin niya. Para sa pag-ibig, sino pipiliin mo? Yung mahal mo o yung mahal ka? Medyo mahirap-hirap na choice yan, di ba? Okay? Kaya siya mag-file ng petition. Pero kahit siya ang nag-file, si employer, normally, hindi dapat nakikialam ang employer. Otherwise, that would be unfair labor practice. But in Article 270, pinapayagan siya mag-file. Para malaman sino ang kakausapin niya as representative of the employees. Ngayon, even if it is the employer who filed the petition, the employer must be guided by Article 271, the bystander rule. Tambay ka lang. Nung pandemic, na-realize natin, ang hirap ng ginagawa ng mga tambay maghapon. Hindi ko kaya yon. Di ba? So, anong participation employer? Kung hindi siya nag-file, i-notify siya, boss, meron ditong certification election na nakaschedule. Ngayon, kung siya nag-file, alam niya na yan. And then, tanungin siya, hingian siya ng listahan ng mga empleyado. Bakit? Para malaman ni election officer sino ang qualified voters. Normally, ang tinatawag nating last payroll period rule. Okay? Yang bystander rule na yan is affirmed by the court in several cases. One of them ay yung Santa Lucia East Communication Corporation. Okay? Commercial pala, hindi communication. That the employer is a mere bystander. Tambay ka lang, huwag ka may kialam. Kasi pag nakialam ka, unfair labor practice yan. Kanina, di ba? May hindi na kontento doon sa resulta ng eleksyon. May mga challenge siya. Papaano ang gagawin niya? Mag-appeal ka. You file your appeal to the Secretary of Labor. Period to file an appeal? Oops, huwag paniniwalaan yung 272. Ang nakalagay 15, that's the number of days by which the Secretary should resolve the appeal. Nililito kayo, no? Ay ano yung appeal period? Ayun, nasa implementing rules. 10 days. Okay? 10 days from the announcement o nanalo si Union A. Ikaw si Union B, mag-appeal ka to the Secretary of Labor. Now, a denial of your appeal, you file a motion for reconsideration. Okay? Ay natalo yung motion for reconsideration. So, anong gagawin natin? eh di mag-file ka na ng petition for certiorari under Rule 65 sa Court of Appeals. You have 60 calendar days to do that. Denial of your motion or of your certiorari to the Court of Appeals. You file a petition for certiorari under Rule 45. You have 15 calendar days to do that directly to the Supreme Court. You do not need to file a motion for reconsideration from the denial of your certiorari. So, diretso ka na sa Supreme Court, Rule 45, but make sure that it is on pure questions of law. Because the Supreme Court, as we all know, is not a trier of facts. So, yan po ang solusyon